Does your physical vibration change your mood? I had a woman come to me once and she spoke to me of a relationship that had ended, and she was having trouble releasing the after effects of the relationship, of still wanting to return with this person, engage with this person. She could not seem to disengage herself from the afterthoughts of being in a relationship, which I could identify with completely. And maybe some of you as well have noticed with some certain people, the frequency, the bond created with this person has a much longer after effect than with some people. It kind of just dissolves on its own and you're just like, guess that was that, right? Depends also what the going out was. But in this case, she was struggling very much with the let go, and I completely understood. And we went into a session. So my day job is massage therapy. And after we did a session of massage therapy, we evaluate, not only what did we work on with the tissues, but there's quite a shift in the state of being. And she couldn't make sense of, even though nothing had changed, nothing had been resolved, we didn't even really talk about it during the session. She had just shared with me how it was making her feel and that she needed something to make her feel better. And her go-to was, I'm going to go get a session. And she somehow knew, like the body knew, I always feel better after therapy. And that's how therapy should be, right? So afterwards, it was concluded, it was resolved. We could see that there was the shift and the mood had significantly changed. Therefore, the week after, she booked another session, right? To keep, if you find something that works, keep that escalating, right? So this is the transition of what happens. You experience some kind of fear, trauma, pain, and the vibration spirals down. You're in this state of mood and you want to get here, but you can't actually just think yourself there, because the thoughts, as you saw with her, are blocked. The thoughts are blocked in, but I miss this person, but I want to go back to this person, or whatever it is that happened to you. The thinking pattern is not being supportive of enhancing any kind of spiral or diagonal going upward. And this is why you have the tool of the body. That is why shifting the frequency of the body is just like an awesome tool where you're like, now I've worked with it. It filters through the body, the vibration shifts, and now I have access to reassess and work from this mood plane where I get up into where the thought was not able to do it, because the thought was attached to a need or a want or a desire that was stuck in one vibration, because that's what it identified with at that time. So all of this is simply to say that the body is one of the easiest, most accessible tools that you have with you 100% of the time. And this is the first pillar of vibration. Now, how you're going to use it and how you're going to keep doing that so that it can spiral upward, I have written down three areas that are in my Become Vibrant course. The first one is you have to make it a reality in your mind that vibration and frequency are real. We think of it that it's like in atoms or in things or in, we know we're all vibrating. We know there's some element of electricity within us, but I don't think many of us sit down to actually pinpoint and study, how is that actually true? How is it possible that there's more space inside of me than actual true solid material. And this is the space of electromagnetic energy that is the one that allows for all the shifts to take place according to what we expose it to, what content we bring in, what we look at with our eyes, what we listen to with our ears, what we feel the contact with our hands. So this is covered in the first part of the course, where the reality has to be a part of you where you can have faith in the fact that vibration, which is just going up down, creates the frequency. So it's how many vibrations within 1 second are measured as a frequency, and that this is a reality happening and resonating within my body right now. Then what? I bring in the element of water in the course because we're mostly made up of, men have a little bit higher percentage of water and women a little bit lower, but it's between 60 and 70%. And water is so happy to change, right? It goes from gas, liquid, and solid. And they also have now that it has kind of like the muddy substance is also considered a substance. When it's like jelly-like, this is also a form that water can take. And we are so composed of that. There is so much in that. And it's so easy to access in changing the crystals and the crystal forms of water. So the second part of the course talks about making it a reality within your mind that you are made up of a substance that is willing and able to change depending on what you want to expose it to. So now the vibration and frequency is a reality. I have water as a reality. And the last one is quantum physics. So quantum physics, as it's explained in I want to call it the workshop, but it's in the course, briefly means that you can be two things in one. You can be a particle and you can also be energy. So this is a gift of change. So the photons, for example, in light can be both. Why is it that when the door is closed, the light is shining through? You could say, okay, these are the particles coming through on this edge, but how come I can still see light over here? The particles are not turning the edge. So this is where there's also an energy component to them. And for me, the most fascinating part is the space between the particles is what gives us access to the magic and the shift of vibration. I shouldn't even do quote unquote. I should say like the actual, that is the magic and the shift in the vibration, depending what we lived, what we want to live, and what we envision we will be living in the future. The atoms and everything within shift and vibrate towards this. They say the body doesn't know truth or false, or truth or lie, or false and true. All the body knows is whatever you expose it to. That's why you wake up from a dream and you think, but how come my system doesn't know? I mean, it's laying down. I wasn't in a burning building, or I wasn't being chased. I'm not even running. I'm like laying here. It can't tell. It can't tell between reality and fantasy, because its job is to live the experience. That's why living the experience as human beings and everything we go through is a sheer roller coaster of joy, because we could say, well, we know the end point, right? We know that this has its finite moment. Then why would we live the experience? No, but the point is not this. The body only knows the present moment, and it's about every day the experience. Every day we're experiencing, which brings us to the last part of the physical part of the course, which is every day we need to have the high vibration experience. I just heard recently, and I'm totally going with this one, is that the one who has the most fun wins. I think this could just sum everything up. Like, am I having the most fun I can have? Is my where, like, what's going on? What rabbit hole did we fall down that we got lost? Am I having the most fun? You'd say wins against her, whatever. Wins for you, right? This is a game where you win. So every day for 7 days in the Become Vibrant course, every morning there's a 3-minute high frequency activator where it's not complicated. You do movements for the heart, the spine, for emotional spine and to detox fear, and you do a close of core, because core is the power of one, and it takes 1% of your determination to say, I want this. It takes 1% of I want this for everything else to be able to happen. That's all it takes. I think if you want it 1%, if you want to come, if you're here and you're like, that counts. That counts. That means I'm not happy here and I don't want this. But if I'm here and I'm like, I'm willing to go here, the whole vibration of the body is up and ready to support, because the body's vibration and frequency was made for optimal functioning. Its design is, I don't want to use the word perfection, but its design is for the utmost precision of execution to experience the most exciting moments of your life. And you can live them and win, right? Have the most fun. So this is just to clarify that in terms of the young lady who came to me and had this experience and realized that through her body, she could reset where she was at in terms of her mood and letting go and go forward. The body is the first choice of the channel that I would go to. Even if there's physical limitations, meditating through the body, activating spots and colors, and using the body as your platform, as your whiteboard to tweak where you want frequency to go up or down or whatever. This is super beautiful, super handy, and it's not that hard. It takes those elements of belief where you're like, I realize these are truths, these are scientific truths within me that alter my frequency and my pattern of vibration, and this can bring my body up out of wherever my mind was feeling stagnant or clogged or even lost. The amount of clarity you can gain from simply taking access of the body to alter the frequency can be astounding, and it can last. But if you're using the body to alter frequency, once it's altered, that continues on its spiral. Now, for people who have been on a lower frequency for longer amounts of time, it might want to go and dip back into the pattern. And that's why in the Become Vibrant course, it's a 7-day vibration setting. And then the next week it starts again, the 7 days. And there in the training, I explain how you can use 3 minutes. Everybody has 3 minutes. 3 minutes of your day, you can plug it in anywhere where you say, I notice when I come out of work, my tendency is XYZ. And then it's like this little pattern of it wants to go to the familiar low vibration. It feels like it needs that. Sometimes it's interesting to explore it and be like, okay, I'm going to go back down there. And then once you're down there, assess to yourself and say, was it worth it? Is this where I want to be at? What am I getting out of continually dipping back down into this spiral? What are my goals in terms of my health and improving my relationships and where I'm going? Was it interesting? I had a good friend once. She was much older than me at the time. I was 18 and she might have been around in her 50s. And she gave me a simple explanation because I was at the time worrying about whether an ex-boyfriend of mine was going to call me back or not. I had explained to her the situation, and just like the woman that came to me now, I wasn't in the dilemma of mourning. I was concerned about them not reciprocating the situation, and I had the fear of falling back into the relationship. It was a little bit the reversal. And she said, instead of, it's the same energy, she said, Cinnamon, if you're moving in this direction, or if you're moving in the backward direction. It's the same amount of energy. So you might as well think that it will be something good that you want to come out of this person reaching out to you again, or whatever you decide. The whole point was, instead of worrying and thinking about how it will go badly, she said it's the exact same energy if you just flip it and think, imagine that it all goes the right way. Back then, I had no idea about self-help and all the stuff and everything that we learned today about how my thought patterns will affect what I bring into the future and any of that. Just, it was a normal, simple life where you would just deal with regular drama of being a teen, right? And part of the drama of being the teen was being able to sway back and forth between these emotions of uncertainty. But I remember this because it always seemed to me that there was a wiser way to deal with relationships. That there wasn't a need for this if there was transparency. That there wasn't a need for this kind of like it's a game. It really flustered me that there had to be all this back and forth. Like, why couldn't we just be clear? And that's because many times, as it was in this case, the person on the other side is not fully sure what they want. I could say either, but I actually, most of the time, knew exactly what I want. I'm not saying I always wanted what was best for me, but for sure I knew what I wanted. So I couldn't understand why on the other side there wasn't the same transparency and clarity. But it got explained to me that on the other side, a lot of people don't actually know what they want. So they're playing on both fences. And this can be very confusing for someone who is not in that game. That can definitely lower your frequency. So if you have a choice to decide between, one thing is to mourn a relationship that's over. That's valid. I mean, you could tell yourself, this person leaving is opening the door for better people that will come in my life. Sure. But I do think you need the time for mourning. But if you're in a point in a relationship of uncertainty, know where you stand and hold that vibration versus trying to figure out what is happening with the vibration of the other person. And if you feel the ambiguity, like I used to feel it clearly, and I would just bypass it. I thought they'll figure it out eventually, and I'm solid on mine, so maybe it was a little bit of an ego ride there, thinking eventually it'll convert towards the good or towards my side, right? And well, there we went on a little rant. Physical vibration does change and affect your mood, even on a chemical level. The huge part of this, you can also find it in the crisis control, emotional crisis control series that I have here. There are 7 videos if you're going through emotional crisis control and you immediately want to tackle what you're feeling. I'll leave a link in the video up here for sure. And I will see you in the next one. And remember, every day we wake up stronger. Bye.